Well, hello, my fellow Tai Chi quarantineers. Today we're going to continue some of my pontifications on the nature of breathing. I was looking at some of the notes from the Dublin seminar, and Master Wong mentioned you always have your breath under you. And I mentioned that to one of my Tai Chi students, and she says, what does that mean? Well, that's what this little program is all about. Let me see if I can demonstrate a little section with what I do to keep my breath under me. Let's say we start from right here. We'll inhale and exhale. Then inhale and exhale. Then inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay? All right. Now, does that mean that there's a breathing pattern you have to memorize to do Lao Jia? No. You do not have to do that. What you do have to do is know what you're doing. I shall explain. When you breathe, there's two phases. There's an inhale and the exhale. The inhale is the yin breath. The exhale is the yang breath. You gather on the in breath and you release on the exhale. You can gather chi, you gather your calmness of mind, you gather all of the components of your frame, you gather on the inhale. On the exhale, that's when you release, okay? So, you have to know, are you gathering or are you releasing? Most of the time, the rhythm of the form will inform you whether you're gathering or releasing. Occasionally, you can choose whether to gather or release. So, for example, if I wanted to go here and gather here and release here, I could do that if I wanted to. But, so the question becomes, are you gathering or are you releasing? Now, a great way to train this is to do the silk reeling. And you gather, inhale, and then you release, exhale, okay? You want to do this a lot until you've cultivated the ability to inhale for as long as you want to and exhale for as long as you want to. This is also, you want to do that. So, and if you want to mix it up, sometimes I like to add, say, a high lu, low lu. So I'm going to go high lu, inhale, low lu, exhale. High lu, inhale and gather. Low lu, exhale and release. Gather, release. You see? Most of the time, the release is going to be in your mind and your spirit. Okay? So make sure you can feel the gathering and releasing. Gathering, release it, okay? And then do it the other way. And then, gather high, release low, gather low, release high. Play with it, okay? Now, while you're doing all of this, this is a great time for you to use your breathing to help you coordinate all of your movements. So for example, if I'm moving across to here At the time when my twining is complete, at that instant, my breath should be complete. When I do this, my twisting in the waist and my twining and my breath should all three be complete at the same time. Moving down, opening and folding of the qua, turning the waist, twining the arms, releasing the breath should all happen at the same time. So they're coordinated together. And they end at the same time, okay? Now, as just a couple of other examples, we're about to do a single whip. I'm going to gather and release. Now I'm going to release and gather and then release. Okay? At a certain point in time, you will realize that you will not have to have the same amount of inhale as you do exhale in order to give you energy to effect a release. And the way to train that is to train what's called a half breath, or I like to call it a quick breath. And if we're going to talk about the quick breath, we'll have to talk about reverse breathing for a second. Now, the proper way to breathe is you drop your diaphragm, air rushes in. You lift your diaphragm, that squeezes air out, okay? That's normal diaphragmatic breathing. The diaphragm attaches all the way around, and it opens up like an upside down umbrella. That's what creates the vacuum, that's what draws the air in. Okay. Now you can reverse that so that you draw the diaphragm up as you inhale. Now what that does is that brings the qi from the dantian up in, and it mingles with the qi in the air that you're breathing. Okay? Then on the exhale, you release that. The other thing it does, besides mix the qi and help invigorate your essential qi, is it tends to unify your frame. It unifies your torso. Because when you draw it in, like this way, that helps make it more one unit, okay? And if you're going to be releasing energy, you want everything to be coordinated and sort of unified, not one part of you going one way, one part of you going the other. So the way you train that is just like this way here. See, here is our basic foundation breath training pattern. Breathe in and breathe out. Gather and release. Okay? So if you want to start getting it so that you can have more control over when you have your release, you add the quick breath sort of on the corners, like this. You breathe in. Now you're going to release. Now, quick breath in. So you can release now. Quick breath in. Quick breath. You see, when you have a handle on your breathing, and you can control it a little bit, then you can do the reverse breath, and you can control it a lot. So what that means is that you can then release energy just about any time you want to. So, for example, if I'm here, I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to release, quick breath, release, quick breath, release. Quick breath, release, quick breath, release, quick breath, release. That was a little staccato, but I wanted you to see what we're talking about. So when you're here, for example, when you bring your knee up, you can breathe, quick breath in and release. Here's your release. Now, you don't have to worry about it here, but I mean, if you wanted to, you could release, quick breath, and make this movement a release, okay? But for the sake of the form, and mostly the logic will present itself and the rhythm will present itself. I would have you do this over and over. The four corners is a great thing to do. Have your breath under you for every movement you do, whether you're gathering or releasing, okay? And then, of course, once you get all of that lined up, you can gather and release, or release at will. So, for me, the progression that I do is I will start like this way, and I will breathe in slowly, all the way like this way, and exhale slowly. I would do about 8 of those, and then I would reverse that. So I breathe in and release here, and gather here, and then release and gather, like that way, okay? So I've been doing it like that way. So then we add the quick breath. I'm going to breathe in and release, and breathe in and release, and breathe in and release, and breathe in and gather. Gather, release, okay? Then after you've done that, you can, and you feel like it, you can add a little fajing to that. So now we go here. I've just released, so I'm going to gather and release, and gather and release, okay? Then you change that, so I'm going to gather and release, gather, release, okay? Then you can release on each phase. Here, quick breath in, you see? Do that on both sides. Do that with the high lu, low lu, so that from here, gather, release, gather, release, then gather, quick breath, release, quick breath, release, quick breath. Now you're releasing on each phase, okay? So, same thing. When you're ready to add a little fajing to it, gather, gather, okay? Then you can change it, gather, 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 okay? And then you can release on each phase. Okay, and do that in both directions. So you've got this one here, you've got this one here. Those are exercises that you can do. I would suggest that you look upon them the way I do. I don't look upon them as exercises, I look upon them as toys. Play with your toys, and you have fun. So, with that quick breath in mind, you can add the fajing anywhere you want to. One time I asked Master Wong, I said, you know, there are a few places in the form where we show the Fa Jing. You know? I said, are there other places that would be good to practice the Fa Jing? And if so, which ones would be best? And he just kind of smiled and said, well, you feeling good? The implication there being that if you know how and you're feeling good, you can put the Fa Jing, not that you could put the Fa Jing anywhere, but you can put it everywhere. That's a humbling experience to attempt that. Again, I would go to Four Corners and you know, just try it. You know, so when you're here, you can you see, so, and that just goes on and on. When you have your breath under you, you can show the Fa Jing about any time you want to. You can also use the breath, the training of the breath, to coordinate and unify your movements so that when you turn, everything turns, okay? So remember, coordinate opening, closing of the quad, turning of the waist, turning of the trunk, twining with the hands, exhale with the breath. Now, since that's not enough to think about, Master Wong also said, when you do your form, you circulate the qi. All right, how you do that? I don't know, but I'll tell you how I do it. When you inhale, that's the back half of the microcosmic circulation. When you exhale, that's the front half. So when you're doing this one here, you can add the circulation of the qi. Keep in mind, please, that when you do your reverse breath, you always keep your tongue and the roof of your mouth right behind your teeth, okay? That connects the conception and governing vessels, the big meridians that run right up the middle of your body, and create the path for the microcosmic circulation. So there you have it. Practice your breathing, practice your qi, and then just practice. Thank you.